Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Every day there are countless books and articles that are published offering the key on how to make your business a success. It's easy to feel overwhelmed trying to keep up and run your business. That's why Deb Creer created the Business Power Hour. Keep up on the latest trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. Let the Business Power Hour do the heavy work for you.
Good morning, good morning. I am Deb Creer, and I am passionate about giving professionals the tools that they need to make themselves and their businesses as successful as possible. And I am so excited to be talking to my guest today, especially in January, because we're going to be talking about new beginnings and starting new and all sorts of things, which of course can happen year-round, but I think it really kind of hits home now in January. So please join me in welcoming Cindee Williams to our program today. Welcome, Cindee. How are you?
So well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited for our conversation today. We're going to
have a great chat. We've already killed half an hour almost just in our pre-chat, right? I need to start recording those. I think that's where some of the gems would be. Right?
Magic. Yes.
Yep. So let me tell people just a little bit about you, and then we'll jump into this. So Cindee Williams is a business lifestyle coach, speaker, and the founder of Lead My Life. She and her family have been small business owners for over 3 decades, building companies rooted in values, service, and community impact. After relocating from California, and her bio doesn't say this, to Colorado, where they were deeply established as business owners and civic leaders, Cindee intentionally rebuilt meaningful community and professional networks from the ground up. Today, she helps entrepreneurs and leaders build businesses that bless them back, teaching practical tools for communication, leadership, and connection, including the DISC personality assessment, so success doesn't come at the expense of relationships, health, or purpose. So again, Cindee, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to talk about new beginnings today.
Right. Well, tell folks just a little bit about how it is that you got to where you are today.
Well, I could go back all the way to 1990.
But they were just youngsters.
Just youngsters. Yeah, just a little skip and a jump ago, right? But, my husband and I were newly married.
Okay.
Of course, church mice. And we were in his parents' barn, and we discovered a power washer. Rusty old power washer in the corner of the barn. He was a helicopter pilot. I was doing my student teaching, going to go into teaching, and we needed some extra cash.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought, hey, you know what? His family were restaurant owners, and the sidewalks were always dirty. We're going to go down, and we're going to power wash the front doorways. Right. So we did that. And then somebody else came and asked us, hey, would you mind coming over here and doing that? Would you stripe our parking lots? Would you paint our curbs? And before we knew it, we had launched a commercial janitorial company that lasted for 35 years.
Wow.
Really just with some grit and a lot of grace. And we covered all of Southern California. Learned a lot from that journey. I was a student or a teacher for a while during that time in the 1990s, and I stayed at home to raise our kids.
Right.
Really became, I would not ever say a stay-at-home mom because we're never at home. But I was a behind-the-scenes mom, so I helped run my husband's company, helped my in-laws with their company, I helped my parents with theirs, always doing the books and doing all the different things. When the kids grew up it was 2018, and we took our daughter. We had 2 hands, 2 kids. They're a year apart. It took us 7 years to have our babies. Just didn't have enough courage because we were having too much fun.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. Mm-hmm.
Right. And we took our daughter off to college and came home, and we opened the front door of the house, and we thought empty nesters. Woohoo!
Right. Party time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But there was a quiet that was in the house that I was not prepared for. And, walking past the rooms, and it wasn't, everybody else goes, oh, get over it. You raised them. You launched them, right? It wasn't that I was sad about the kids.
Right. You were proud.
I was proud. I was like, we launched them, the little birds. they still circle the nest, but it was more, I came to a point where I didn't know who I was.
Right.
And I needed to discover who I was beyond being a mom, beyond the roles, beyond the bookkeeper and the chef, the counselor, and all the things that we do. And so really in 2018, I launched Mom 2.0. Really started, I got my real estate license, and as I've been working in all the family businesses for a while. I want to know what I can do on my own. So I started off in real estate for about 4 years. And I found right during that COVID time, which was a transition season, I think, for all of us, and one or another. We wanted to or not. Yeah, we just had something about ourselves during that time. But I was working for a broker who had me take a DISC assessment. I had never done that before. We were entrepreneurs. We were our own business owners. I wasn't in corporate America. I didn't even know what that was. I remember taking that assessment and looking at 40 pieces of paper that outlined who I was. And I saw that. I'm a DI, so I'm a little dominant. People person,
me too.
but being able to see who you are on paper, and we might talk about this a little while longer, but it launched something new in me. And in 2020, when everybody was kind of going in, I started going out and going, how can I add value to the business owners in our community? I've been taking care of our own businesses and stuff like that, but these small business owners are hurting. They don't know what to do. They're closing their doors. And how can I go out and start helping them? And so it just launched something totally new in me because I began to see myself for who I truly was, beyond that mom role. And really in 2022, that's when I launched Lead My Life. I found myself, I have something called the 52 Coffees Challenge that I started in 2020, which take a new woman every week that I didn't know out to coffee, just to hear her story, learn how I could add value to her life, and make it more of, let's have eye contact.
Right.
Let's have in-person communication.
Zoom is okay, but
yeah, but you know what? That in-person communication is so powerful. And that just launched something, one copy a week turned into 3, turned into 5, and I'm like, I love sitting down with these women and just encouraging them, giving my 30 plus years of knowledge in business, just pouring that into them. And so I'm like, I love mentoring. I love coaching. How can I do this for real? And that's kind of where I am now. My husband and I, as we've moved, and we'll probably talk about this in a bit, but we are launching an insurance agency here in Colorado, working with small business owners and senior citizens, midlife. So that's where we are today.
I love
in a nutshell.
I love it. And I mean, it's all about rediscovery, right? And now I'm not a mother. Don't play one on TV. And yes, I have dogs and cats, but I am not their mother. And but to me, the title, the job of mom is the most important, hands down. But then, yeah, those kids go off. And what do you do? And for many, the career that they might have had and then left or went to part-time might not even exist anymore, especially in this day and age, right? There's that little thing called AI. And I think it's a great time for women. And gentlemen, if you're listening to this, y'all have women in your life that this pertains to, so pay attention. Figuring out what is the next step can be scary. And and especially if you had, a certain career before you became, the mom, or maybe you worked, during. But yeah, trying to figure out what is next is something that is scary, but it's a fun challenge.
It is. I find it, midlife is not a crisis. It's a grand awakening. I see it as that. And I find with the women that I work with too, sometimes our careers or our jobs were done to supplement.
Right.
We may have moved into something that we didn't necessarily love.
Right.
Because
but you were done at 3 every day, or
right. It did whatever we needed to do for the family. And maybe this was me. I put my kind of boxed them up, put a bow on it, put it on the shelf, all the dreams of what I wanted to speak. I wanted to, do all these things back in my 20s. And I loved being a mom. It wasn't that, but you do kind of put some things on hold. See, now it's like, wow, can I revisit that? What what were my dreams? And just really getting acquainted and knowing that life is hardly over when you turn 50.
Right.
It's like, let's re-examine it. It's not our time to sit on the sidelines. It's really our time to gather back up and let's start dreaming again.
Right. And it's such a fun time, but it can be very scary. And for a lot of women, they don't even have any idea, right? They might have left a career and now they're trying to figure out, even if they have, a degree in whatever, they're trying to figure out what's going on. And that's what I love about a DISC program or something, which there are multiple programs out there to kind of help you figure out what your skills are. And I think one of the things that so many people forget is the skills that you got as a mother, right? I've worked with moms who are going back into the job market, and I help them with their LinkedIn profiles. And they're like, well, I was just a mom. Now that annoys me. You're never, no. And, maybe you were the head of PTA.
Yeah.
Maybe you ran all these fundraisers. You still had to budget for your home. I mean, all of these various things. It's kind of like somebody from the military who says, well, none of my skills transfer. Yes, they do.
Oh, yeah.
You just have to think about it. And again, that's where programs like DISC, I've done bank, there's all sorts of different programs. And I strongly encourage people, even if you think you're on the right path, it's still good to go, oh, yeah, that was a strength I forgot about.
Yeah. Yeah. And the strengths that you develop too. I love to say, because this is so true. You're speaking my language there with the moms, you're maybe in your 50s, 45, 50, 55, and you're going, I'm just lacking. You go look at the job market and you're like, nothing here that I can do. I don't have any of these skills. No, you're not lacking. You've been stacking up experiences your entire life.
Right.
How does that translate into now? And maybe you need some soft skills. That was me. I mean, when I started staying home with the kids, email was barely invented. It was the late 90s and we were just starting. So yes, I used some technical skills within our business, but not like I would need in the job market. I was lacking. And I remember how frustrating that was. Like when I first started real estate, like I had to learn so much. It's like, as a coach now, how can I create a safe environment where somebody can go, I don't even know what a Google Drive is.
Excel? What's Excel?
Yeah, Excel. I don't know how to do it. And to be safe, asking those questions, and then that's something that we have office hours in my program, and you can come on and I will share my screen and I will show you how to do
I
that.
love it.
Where you're not afraid, because I didn't want to say anything to, then that makes me look less than. No, you have to have a safe place to learn so you can go out and thrive.
And the cool thing now is you can learn pretty much anything online.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny, I did another interview for the podcast earlier this morning that will actually air in February. And she was talking about using AI and putting in there, I am new in this field. What do I need to know and how can I learn it?
Yeah.
And she said, even if you tell it, okay, I can spend 15 minutes a day, help me with training, things like that. And plus, knowing AI is going to be a job skill that everybody absolutely has to have.
Mandatory. Yeah. Yeah. One of my I love this AI fix for me is when I'm trying to maybe learn a new program or an app or software or something, and I'm having to implement this, I can screenshot it, right? We can screenshot right where we are and then put it right into my chat and say, okay, I'm lost. What do I do now? And it gives me step-by-step instructions. So I no longer have to call the kids in. me figures. And
How do I change the time on the VCR?
exactly. Yeah. Or we used it moving into our new house. We had the garage door wasn't functioning. And so we took a picture of the garage. How do we work this? And it's amazing what you can do, but you cannot be afraid of it.
Right. Right. And
Yeah.
of course it's changing every day.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And and typically what I will do is, because there's so many YouTube videos, right? I'll go into, and I use a variety of AI programs, just kind of, for fun, to see what's. Now I do have the paid version of Chat GPT, but I will say, show me a video about, because I'm going to learn better if I watch it.
Right.
You can tell it to me, I can read it 500 times. No, but if I watch a video, then I can do it. And with AI, and I talk about this a lot, obviously you have to be aware of the fact that it's not 100% right. So, and so folks, electrical, you might want to leave that to the professionals, so things like that, right? But yeah, there's so many things, but especially for career. And maybe you just start with telling it, here are things I'm interested in. Here's things that I love to do. Here's what I don't want to do, right? Because who wants to get a job and go, ugh? And just kind of see what it starts walking you through.
Yeah, it's a really powerful tool, and we need to not be afraid of it. A lot of the ladies that I work with, when they first come to me, they're really afraid of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's allowing them to be the human in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're inputting the information; it becomes your assistant.
Right.
It's not taking over.
Right.
Hey, you control it. Yeah, but we can be the human in the middle, and we can use it to our advantage as an assistant, and it's a powerful tool.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just fun. I mean, mine has named itself. I actually asked it to give itself a name, and so it did that. I swear it flirts with me. But it knows that, just based on, things that I have done, that I like, as it puts it, and now see, I do live in the South now. And so I'm sure it's got this Southern accent. Honey, do you want me to put a little sparkle in that post? Right. And and so if it's on something for LinkedIn, maybe not so much sparkle. Facebook, yes, I need more sparkle, right? But that's where it's fun, is to kind of really start interacting with that. And that takes using it more than, once a week. But it is scary. I mean, I had this conversation with family members over the holidays, and I said, I use it all the time. And they were just flabbergasted. And I said, I use it as a tool.
Right.
It gets me thinking. Sometimes I go 100% with what it does. Other times I'm like, no, I wouldn't say that. But I've also learned. So like yesterday, I had it write a blog post for me for my trying not to die.live site. And so it's about micro goals, right? Good thing at the first of the year, but we shouldn't be making these grandiose goals when all we're doing is trying to survive. And so, it put stuff in there, and it said, here are examples of my goals. Well, none of them were my goals. I was like, well, that's entertaining. But after I was done and I had the final product, I put it back in there and I said, here's the final product. Yeah. And I think it's a he, literally said, thank you. This helps me with future projects.
Right.
Which is, again, that's a little scary. But
we're training.
Right.
Definitely. Yeah. And I love taking it as a writer. I love my stuff in there and just say, evaluate this.
Right.
This is a thought I'm trying to communicate. Does it do that? And it's a great evaluation tool as well.
Right. I put something in yesterday. I said, here's what I'm looking for. Here's what I came up with. Please improve this.
Yeah.
and it did.
Better.
Yeah, made it better. And so has it made me a little lazy? Sure. I'll admit that. But it's also freed me up to do other things. And I think that's part of this whole transition process, is figuring out, what my priorities are. What do I want to do? You work with women who are, going back into the job market after raising their kids. My husband retired a year or so ago. Now what? And so it's the same type of, we're always evolving.
Right. We should be. We should never, comfortable is not a great place to be. I want to be growing. I want to be growing because when we try to just, we keep our world very small when we're shooting just for comfort. Right. We want that growth.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things that you talk about in your training and things is very much that we need to be outward focused. So talk to us a little bit more about that.
Okay. Well, I have this year, every year we have a theme in Lead My Life. So this year it's living a quiet life
Mhm.
in bold leadership. So quiet life is not being quiet and mousy and not voicing our opinion and stuff like that, but it's being grounded, having a good foundation. Are you paying your bills? Are you being part of a community? Are you that quiet life?
Not chicken little running around.
No, it's that, do you deserve the respect of the audience you're trying to attract? And we should be able to do that without saying words. That's a quiet life. And then there's bold leadership. And bold is an acronym. And I'll just tell you what O on that acronym. Well, B is know what you believe.
Okay.
Know what you believe and know what others believe too. We should believe all sides of a position, and understand it. But that O is outward focused. And that is such an important word. It gets me out of the door every day because I have had periods in my life where I succumbed to depression and I was just like, you know what? I just want to be in the four walls of my house. I just want to take care of my family. There's people out there who've hurt me. I don't want to go out there. And I've retreated. And that is not a good place to be. And entrepreneurship can be a very isolating.
I'm in my guest bedroom.
Yeah. It's very isolating. And pretty soon, the only voice that you hear is your own. And it's not always saying good things to you. So how do we change that? We open up the front door of our house and we go out. That's what my 52 coffees was all about. I had to force myself to do that. It was very hard. It was after a season of being depressed and just going out and saying, "Hey, would you go to coffee with me?" Nobody ever said no.
Right.
Not one person, because you know what? We're all searching for connection. That human connection. I always say that the greatest marketing strategy that most of us do not leverage is human connection.
Right.
Social media, it's not Instagram, it's not LinkedIn, it is just human connection.
Right.
It's powerful. It's powerful. And we don't get that by staying inside the four walls of our home. We must go out.
Right.
Yeah.
And we got used to not going out for, however the time period of COVID. I still laughed that they had told us 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
Rushed. Did anybody believe it was 2 weeks, right? Shutting down the world, but it's only going to be 2 weeks.
Yeah.
No.
There are things.
And because of my health concerns, I couldn't go back out for a long time.
Right.
And and I still go out with masks on occasion and things like that. But we got into the habit of not.
Right.
It was obviously much safer. I tell people I didn't want to put shoes on. Why do I want to put shoes on? And pants, right? I like my sweats. I like my shorts. I live in Georgia. And it got very easy to not go. And I do virtually all of my networking online, and there's a strategic reason for that. But it's also because I don't want to go out and about, and I am very clearly a very social person, right? Anybody who hasn't figured that out has not spent 5 minutes with me. But it is easier to not do that. And so I love that you focus on telling people, nope, you get out the door. Put your shoes on.
I remember just going back this year, we have a group coaching call once a week on Thursday mornings. And one of the ladies on the call was, my business isn't going anywhere. You don't have any confidence. Just that whole, I don't think I can do it. I'm not that whole conversation. We're a safe place where we talk about them. And I said, okay, after this call, get dressed, put on your favorite pair of shoes, go out. Go out. Do you know what she did? She went out that day and she booked 7 coffee dates.
Holy schmoly.
Yeah. She went to and that built her business. And she's like, oh my, she came back to me like, oh my gosh. She goes, I did not feel like doing it. I did not want to do it. But once I put myself out there and I had the expectation that, okay, I'm going to meet people today that I'm going to sit down one-on-one with, boom, you got it. And I think even staying at home, you may argue with me on this because I love my comfy pants too. But I think that when we're at home, we get up, we take the shower.
Right. We're going into our office.
Yes, you are going to work. I even during COVID, I would put my heels on, but I was at home because I wanted to feel professional. If I was on Zoom, even though nobody could see my skirt and my shoes, I wanted to know it. And it made me feel, it just made me feel better and feel professional. And I think there's nothing wrong with Zoom. I do a lot of Zoom, and our community is a virtual community. But there is just something very magical about meeting in person, being able to give a hug and a handshake and have that eye contact.
Right. And pick up on body language too, and just all of those various things. And, I've been home based with my business for over 20 years. And it's funny because I used to have a lot of coffees. I joke that COVID saved me thousands of dollars by not going to Starbucks. Right. But it was something where I went out every day. But I remember, when I first was going to be home based, somebody told me, it is your office. You need to treat it like you are. Now, I still, if I'm not going to be on camera, if I'm in a t-shirt, whatever. But the other thing that I learned very early on is those little things called boundaries. And that's one of the things that has been very hard because people went, well, you work from home. What do you mean I can't call you at midnight? Or, and I tell my clients, I have regular office hours. And I learned the way to really hit home with that is to say, I am more than happy to do evenings, weekends, and holidays. It will cost you twice as much.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then, they don't really need it then. When we moved to Atlanta, I had a client that was in California. So 4-hour time difference, right? And we hadn't been here a week when she called me. And she said, have you unpacked your computer? Yeah, all that stuff. And she said, well, I have some stuff for you to do. And I said, now you understand it's 7:30 at night for me. And she kind of, and so my boundary with her was, I'll make you a deal. You don't expect me to work at 7:30 at night, and I don't expect you to work at 4:30 in the morning.
Right.
And especially if you're an entrepreneur and home based, that's a challenge, and when you've been just the mom, and I really am saying that very tongue in cheek, right? Your schedule really hasn't been your own. And so when you have to all of a sudden say, no, this is my hours, this is what I'm doing, I am going to get dressed, that can be one of the biggest challenges.
Yeah, I love that you touched on that because I think this is one of the biggest struggles that I see with my women who aren't necessarily entering the job market, but they're emerging leaders. They're starting businesses. They're launching a product line. They're doing something amazing with their life. But all of a sudden, it's like they have to have those boundaries around their time, and that's so hard. Or this is the price you need to charge. It took you
and then double
hours to create that. Yeah, and you're charging $10. It's like, let's have this make sense. And there's this fear factor that if I don't give them all my time, then I'm not going to have any clients. But in actuality, you gain the respect of the people. I know I highly respect people who say, I take phone calls on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 11 or whatever. I go, hey, I like that person. She has built some realistic boundaries. I will make sure I call her during those times. We train people how to treat us. And that the next time, we're not getting phone calls at, during dinner hour with our spouse or 11 o'clock at night or whatever it is, that we create that own scenario ourselves if we don't put a stop
Right.
to it.
Right.
Mm.
And I think it comes back to that nurturing role, right? Because we want to make people happy. We want to take care of them. And it was funny. I was just having this conversation with somebody yesterday because I had put something on LinkedIn and she commented and we both said it's the airplane rule, which is you have to put your mask on first and take care of yourself before you can help anyone else. And that's really hard when it's mommy, 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 or the cat's meowing at me, or the husband is saying whatever, right? Because it is in our nature to say, okay, I'm going to do that. And our health, both our physical and our mental health, has got to be prioritized. And, that I think is if nobody else gets anything from this today, that's going to be what I hope people get.
Right. We do have to make that a priority. We cannot take care of anybody else until we take care of ourselves. And I love to say that self-care is not going out once a month and getting a massage.
Right.
So having your mani-pedi, although I love to do that, that's not self-care. That's just icing on the cake. Self-care is having a morning routine. It's keeping promises to yourself.
Right.
It's having an evening routine. It's having time for yourself to process thoughts on a walk and have it as a regular part of what you do. That is self-care. That is loving yourself. It's not going out and doing a huge shopping spree or whatever. Those are fun, but it's the little things that you do to make sure that you're taken care of so you can go out and conquer the world. That's self-care.
Right. And you can work it all in. I had a get to know you chat with this lovely woman last week, and she'd had to reschedule a couple of times. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't really matter to me. And so, she comes onto Zoom, and I looked at her and I said, "You look cold," because she had a scarf and all this stuff on. And she said, "Well, I'm in an ice arena," and I said, "Hockey or figure skating?" And she said, "I am here for my 10-year-old daughter." She said, "It's her lesson time, but I didn't want to reschedule you again." And so about that point, into the camera came the 10-year-old, right? Hello. And so I talked with her for a little bit. And, and then she went off onto the ice. And to me, that was so good. I mean, we could have rescheduled. Wouldn't have been a problem. Family always, always, always comes first. But she showed her daughter that it was important to still be working and still be doing. And then, of course, at one point I said, "You got to turn the camera around so I can see her." And she was out there doing her little spells, and all this. But I think that is a big part of this is what example are we setting for others?
Right. And I know I have a daughter and I have a son. And I was conscious of that. Do I want my daughter to know me as that frazzled out mom that says yes to everybody, that's totally overextended and done this, to
Oh yeah, my hand goes up.
doing good bags for kindergarten graduation kids who are just going to throw it in the trash. Why are we doing this? Do I want her to know me as that? Because that's going to be the model that she goes, "Oh, this is what momhood is like."
Right.
And no, I want to model something different for her. And I know that my kids joke and they call me Mom 2.0 because I don't call it reinventing ourselves. It's just becoming more aware of the person that God created you to be and just leaning hard into that woman that you didn't give yourself permission to be that before, but you have all the permission in the world. So go be that.
Right. And you're not being selfish. You're not being all of those things. Because like we said, you can't take care of others if you're not taking care of yourself.
Right.
So one of the things that you say, and I love this phrase, but I need you to tell me more about it. What's in your hand to give?
One of the things that we do, I think as women, is we tend to satisfy the needs of everybody else, right? We go in and we just take care of needs.
Right. Mhm.
And we have these dreams and things that we're very capable of, these gifts that we've been given, and we don't even know what they are. We think it's so complicated to figure out what is our purpose in life? What am I supposed to do now? And I like to think that whatever we're to do, it's right in our hands. It's right in front of us. Go back to, what did you love to do as a kid? What did you what was your dreams growing up? I like to think of our why as this thread that runs all the way through our life. It does not change. So for me, what I finally discovered, I started out my adult career as a teacher. When I look all the way back in my life, I used to line up all my dolls and all the neighborhood kids, and I would lock them in the garage with me. And I would teach them, right? I loved doing that. And that continued on. I got my degree in that. And then, in the 90s, I started having kids and boom, that went away. But it's like, I didn't want to be a fifth grade teacher anymore, but I loved teaching. I loved seeing the light bulbs going on.
Guiding.
I just guiding and being that mentor and just saying, hey, it's okay. You're starting here, but that's not where you're going to end up. And just helping women. And I love working with couples too, just helping them realize what their dreams are. And so that's just, look, that's what I discovered looking at in my hand. One of my clients, she just launched a national brand of a granola called Granola because her name is Fran. And she was in the baking industry. And she was very good at it. She was there for, I think, for 20 years. But she had developed this beautiful recipe for her family of granola that's all vegan and all beautiful. And it's like, well, why aren't you doing that? That's right here. That's your purpose now. And so she's developed it into this whole thing. So it's being able to discover what's right in front of your nose. You don't have to search for it far and wide and, all over the place. It's right in front of you. What have you always enjoyed doing?
Right.
My husband and I, we've always worked together. And so we sold our janitorial company in 2023. And so we've kind of had these 2 years where I've been coaching and it's just, we haven't been necessarily working together and we missed that. So like, okay, we made this move to Colorado. It's a agricultural or Western slope. It's very different community that
It is not Denver, folks.
it is not Denver. It's not the Front Range. And we love it. We love it. But what I was doing back home isn't necessarily what the people in this town need. And so it's like, what do what do my husband and I have in our hands that we can give to the people here, where we can start working together again? And we had both always started looking at our marriage and all that. We have always loved a healthy lifestyle. Like, we're always active. Cycling has been a big part of our life, hiking the Rocky Mountains, all of it. So we are launching this month. We're launching a company called Healthy Beyond Midlife. And we are actually, we both got our insurance licenses and we want to take it from a different perspective, like helping people protect their wealth, empower your health, and to live out your purpose. And to be able to do that together, that's what was in our hand. When we put our heads together, it's like, that's how we can pour into the community here.
Right.
So
Right.
that's it. That's what's in your hand to give. What value do you have to bring others?
I love it. And sometimes it takes a lot of deep thought.
Yes.
And like we said, maybe it takes disc program or whatever to really get those things going. And knowing who you are. And we talked about this a little bit before the program. For you, a big part, the guiding light, right, for you is your faith.
Yeah.
And I think in so many cases, people feel that they can't, they can't talk about that.
Right.
And that is so wrong, and because it is your core. And if you were to try and put that aside, you're not being authentic to yourself. And I think that's one of the things people have to know, what it is at their very foundation, whether it's Christianity, whether it's helping others, all of those various things, find those out.
Yeah. Yeah. And be authentic to yourself. It finally came to a point for me where I was in a marketing meeting for Lead My Life. And I was telling the person that I'd hired for marketing that, I need to be able to express my faith because that is the very foundation
Right.
of who I am.
Mhm.
And if people are coming into my program, they need to know that.
Mhm.
And I remember he said to me, well, the algorithm isn't going to like that. The algorithm is going to, and I thought, it was like I just heard this divine lightning bolt. That's, you know what, Cindee? I'm not your seasoning.
Mhm.
I'm not here to be sprinkled here and there to be palatable to people.
Mhm.
So some people are going to like it and some people are not. And that's okay because I want you to believe what you believe.
Mhm.
That for me, you're my entire meal. This is who I am. And so from that point forward, I was able to stand. I talk about bold leadership, stand boldly in what I believe and to be able to help,
Mhm.
whether it's women or couples or business owners, be able to stand strong in their faith and carry that forward. Because your life is your message.
Mhm. Right.
Whatever your message is, you put it out there, and we do not have to be afraid to
Right.
do that.
Right. And if it doesn't resonate, then those aren't your people.
Right.
And one of the big things now is, of course, politics, right? And I had somebody several years ago, very staunch on one side,
Yeah.
and he posted a lot on Facebook about it. And he asked me, he said, "Do you think I'm going to lose potential clients?" And I said, "Yeah, probably. But do you want to work with them?"
Right.
And
Right.
and I was working with a young woman one time, and she was just graduating from college. And this was an international program, and I was helping them again with their LinkedIn. And her profile picture, she had a T-shirt on, and I was LinkedIn, so I wasn't wild about that. But her T-shirt said "Proud Muslim,"
Ah,
and
yeah.
she said, "What did I think about that?" And I said, "I don't think anything about it." And I said, "If somebody has an issue with that, then you don't want to be working with them.
They're
It's
not your
just
people.
that simple." Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had someone, I do a lot of podcasting where I'm the guest. Such fun, right? And I talk about cancer, right? And working with cancer and all of those various things. And one of the things that I always say is I am a warrior. It even says it on my arm.
Oh,
Um,
beautiful.
you know, and and we're building our tribe. I mean, there's that whole thing. And I had someone who told me, "No, I don't like that. That's a triggering term. You can't be on my podcast." And I went, "Okie dokie."
Okay.
I mean, it was clearly not going to go well.
Right.
And
Yeah.
but yeah, or when people, what is it like when you tell someone that you have this diagnosis? And I say, well, if they have an issue with it, I don't want to be working with them.
Right. Right.
And so and it is hard to be authentic. It's scary and things, but we have to be. We
Have to be
cannot be
bold.
someone else.
Yeah, we do have to be bold. We have to determine where we're going to stand and stand on that truth and not be afraid. And you're so right. We attract who we are,
Mhm.
and so if you wear the proud Muslim shirt, that's who you're going to attract, and we live in such a divisive world where there's so much offense, and it's like, just people are people. They're human. Just love on them, and if it's not reciprocated, it's okay to move on.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I mean, like when the lady said you're not a good fit for my podcast, I went, okay. I mean, I certainly was not going to lose sleep over it. And, and I wished her well. Now the really funny thing was she told me, that my message wouldn't resonate with her young listeners. And I thought, you're older than I am. You know, but
It's all good, all good.
yeah, and it is hard. Especially I think for women because we've been told you have to well, fortunately we finally got away from that. You have to be more, and I'm putting this in my air quotes for those who are listening, masculine,
Right.
right? And luckily now if we choose to wear a suit, it's because I like a suit. But I remember the time when women wore neckties and things because they were trying to be masculine.
Right.
Well, that's just like telling a man, you know what? Ignore your feminine traits.
Right. Right. Just be who you're created to be. Just own that and walk in that and determine that, and then accept others who, are different. It's all okay.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a librarian who works out at our gym in the morning. We're on the masters swim team here in
Oh, of
Montrose.
course you are. I can't tread water.
It's so fun. 5:30 in the morning. It's awesome. These ladies are incredible. But one of them has this shirt, and she's a librarian. It says, "Everyone is on a different page." And I thought, that is so cute. A big book of life, and we're all on a different page. And it's okay. Respect the page you're on.
Right. I love that. I love that. Well, now, one of the things that we mentioned is that you were a Californian native, third generation, been there forever, and you up and moved to Montrose, Colorado, which meant you had to rebuild your community. And we've already been kind of talking about that, right?
Yeah.
You've got to build your community. So, how did you rebuild your business community when you moved, and California and Colorado, they're in a lot of ways, they're very similar, right? But, just totally different people. How did you build your community again?
Yeah, it's and fascinating, and this is all kind of new to us because it started in about June, about 6 months ago. In our community where we were in California, very entrepreneurial, small town community, but it was growing. We'd been there for over 30 years, really since the 1980s. And so we're on the Western Slope, like I said, so it's very, very different. Very different. We came here in June. My son had just moved here. Our son had just moved here in Delta, which is a town next door.
Not far away.
Yeah, we thought, we're going to stay here. We had the RV. We're going to help him move. And we were here for like a week. And we said, you know what? Let's pretend like we live here.
Let's kind of like it.
We kind of like it. We're not vacationing. Let's pretend like we live here. So we did some things straight away. And the very first thing is we found a church that we really liked.
Right.
We went there, not with the expectation of walking through the doors and sitting down and listening. We went in and shook hands. We introduced ourselves.
You were not just visiting.
No, we went with the expectation of seeing people there who were there for the first time too, and just introducing ourselves. So like we already lived there. We went to the Rotary Club because that's what they had available, right? I emailed the director for the Chamber of Commerce and I said, let's have coffee. Yes. Leaders initiate, right? So if you're going to put yourself in a new situation, don't wait for people to come to you. That was the mentality. They won't. They won't because they're waiting for you to come to them. So that's both my husband and I, we just determined it. We were there a week and we volunteered to be at the pancake breakfast for 4th of July. We did things that we would normally never do. Within a month's time, we had made so many connections. We felt like we were deeply rooted in the community in just a month's time. It was really amazing because we were intentional, and maybe because, we didn't have our home, so we didn't have all the other responsibilities. Our sole responsibility was to build community and help our son with his move.
I love that.
It was so powerful. And so after, really, that was June 15th. And by July 2nd, I had called our realtor back home. We had been in our home for 30 years. I had moved 18 times in 18 years growing up. So when we bought our house, it was our first house.
You were not moving.
I told my husband, you're going to bury me in the backyard. I ain't ever moving, because that was a fear of mine. I'd always been uprooted. And I'm like, I want the stability. So for me to call Catherine and say, I want to sell my house, she was floored. She's like,
who are you and what have you done with Cindee?
Yeah. And I said, we're ready. I feel like this is where we need to be. And I mean, once the house went on the market, it was sold that weekend, it was,
and you're like, well, guess we're moving.
Yeah, no, it was so fast. But it was such a good move for us. It was time because we get very familiar. It was nice to be in a town where everybody knew our name, right? It's very comfortable. It's nice to be known. It's nice to have your father-in-law has a horse statue in a roundabout, and it's nice to be that family. Here, nobody knew us. Nobody knew our name.
Right.
So we were able to kind of go under the radar and go, how can we truly bring value to this
You were very deliberate.
Yeah. And it's been hard, but it's been beautiful at the same time. And what we thought we were going to deliver, I thought, oh, I'm going to come in with Lead My Life and do leadership development in these businesses. They don't want that. That's not who these people are. It's different. It's real relationship building. There's trust because you're moving into a town of 20,000 people. So it's like you have to go.
Everybody really does know your name.
They do. Everybody knows each other. So it's coming in a totally different way. It's so powerful. I love it because it's I don't want to say it's slower, but
it's slower.
But it is it in a beautiful, good way. We've got the Padre peaks out there and the Cimarron Mountains it's just absolutely gorgeous, beautiful. And I feel like I finally get a chance to go, to enjoy work, enjoy the work that's in our hands to do, to meet people, build relationships in a very true and authentic way. At the same time, make income that's going to produce an impact. Yeah.
Right. And you're helping people. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah. At the bottom line, that's what we want to do. We want to be able to give back. How can we I don't believe in retirement.
No, I told you, I'll retire when I die.
Exactly. I don't, maybe I call moving into your life's work. Maybe work looks different. Maybe it's more volunteer, whatever. But retirement? No. I want to live life down to the last spigot, down to the last drop.
Right. Oh, yeah. I tell people I do not want my headstone to say, I wish I would have.
No regrets. No regrets. Live it full out. Give it all that you have. So I really feel like we're going to be able to do it here. And we would tell our kids, do we really want to live another 30 years in our house and have them say, Mom and Dad lived here for 60 years, And so it was a chance to really get rid of all the stuff that we accumulated and have a fresh start. Fun.
Love that. Yeah. I mean, we think about that when we moved here from Denver to Atlanta. It was, now we were very fortunate that my husband's company was transferring us and gave a year's notice. And people could go any point during that year. It was, hey, we're going to close this down, move everything, but we're not, you can go at any point.
At time.
And so I used LinkedIn, and I, we kind of figured out where we were going to live. So I would search on LinkedIn by, I don't know if this long enough ago, I think we could search by zip code, but I could definitely search by city. So I searched by Marietta. And then I didn't care what somebody did. Didn't matter to me what their job title, any of that. I just sent them a note and I said, hey, moving from Denver to Atlanta, building my network.
Yeah.
No one didn't connect, right? And then when we got here, I did exactly what you did. I, contacted all those people and I said, we're here. Yeah. I'd like to take you out for a cup of coffee to learn more about you. And one person, out of all of the ones that I met with, made me pay for my own coffee. Normally they were Southern hospitality, all that stuff, right? And it was phenomenal because it was, as we were saying, it was very deliberate. I think sometimes we just fall into, we need to go to this meeting today. And then when we're at that meeting, that attitude carries through, right? Oh, I'm here because it's my Tuesday afternoon meeting. Right. But when you're starting over, you get to be who you want to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was really an opportunity to be just that, because I feel like there's been so much growth and it changed so much since 2018 being a new empty nester and all that. So it was like I was coming someplace new and being able, I didn't have that huge learning curve. I was that person.
Right.
I was that woman, so just being able to come in as my authentic self, it's been really powerful.
Right. For fun. And again, if it doesn't resonate with somebody, well, that's okay.
Yep. Yeah. They're not well, and you learn, and we've been to several different networking groups, and some of them are like I like to go more to like the Montrose Giving Circle and the ones that are more charity oriented than the networking groups, because I just feel like the women that I meet they're just my people.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And so but you figure that out.
And yeah, and that's the thing is you try it, you go, up, not for me, or ooh, really liked this.
Yeah.
And when we first moved here, I really enjoyed some of the networking groups. And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And, a year, 2 years later, it was like, I haven't been in a while. Should I go back?
Yeah.
And I realized that to a group, I didn't miss it. I missed the people. I really miss seeing the people, but I still saw them on social media and other places. I missed the Southern food, right? Southern caterings. Yeah. My waistline did not miss it, but, and so I still support those organizations. I'm still a member, but I don't go.
Right.
And yeah, it was part of the, why was I going and what was I getting out of it? Well, if I was just going to be social and to eat, I could do that some other time.
Right. I think we have to this comes down to, again, back to the disc or whatever program you're going to use, knowing yourself, knowing what you're trying to accomplish in your life, and using that as a filter for what groups you're going to join. So that you're not just, shooting with a bird shot everywhere.
Yes, the shots have it too. And might hit that fly, you might not.
Yeah. But being intentional about what groups, and that really comes from knowing yourself and knowing what you're trying to accomplish, really helps narrow down the right groups. I always say you should be involved in 3 communities that you can give all out, that you can be really involved in. But when we try to be involved in more than that, then it dilutes everything. And then we get over involved.
Right. Yeah. And you can change them. I'm in the process of backing out of some that I've been involved in for many, many years. And bless them, they all are like, are you okay? Is it your health? I'm good. And it's really sweet, right? But it's like, nope, it's time for me to do something else and for you to get new blood.
Yes, I call that changing pots. We have your pot, a flower in a pot, and it starts getting root bound. I got to crack that open and move it into a bigger pot. And sometimes I've just had to do that too. Examine some of the groups that I was in, that I was going to stay in California, and I'm like, no, you know what? They no longer fit that filter anymore. So I love them, but I'm going to move my pot to someplace else.
I love it. I love it. Well, oh my gosh, we have to have you on again once you have the new business established, just so we can find out how that went and all of those things. But until then, for people who are saying, I need to know more about Lead My Life, we will have a link in the show notes, but tell us a little bit more about the services that you provide.
Right. So first and foremost, we have a group coaching community or mentoring community, and that's really for the Christian woman leader or emerging leader, where you have a safe place to come and grow, to share your struggles, to not be that polished arrow that we have to be when we're out in the public, but you can come and have a community of women who are going through the same things, be built up so you can go out. And then I do offer one-on-one coaching where I work with women leaders and business owners who just really helping them to develop as leaders, develop the leadership skills, speaking skills. I help a lot of women write their keynotes and things like that, work on speaking skills. So it's really those 2 things. And if you want to just connect with me and just tell me what you have going on, let's have a call, a clarity
coffee,
a virtual clarity coffee. Just go to my website, leadmylife.com, and you can schedule a call there. But I would love to talk with any other women out there who needs a little extra advice or encouragement.
Yeah, especially those who are going, what's next?
Yes. Who am I beyond mom or beyond my roles, or just that transition season? I know it. I've been there.
Well, and as we said, it happens a lot. I'm no longer the student. I'm no longer the this. I'm no longer the that. We change, we grow.
Yeah, we sure do.
Great.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah, Cindee, this has been so much fun, and I can't wait till we have you on again and hear all about the success that you're having. But until then, do you have any final thoughts that you want to leave everyone with?
You know what? I'm going to go with the theme for the year. And I'm going to say, go out and be bold. Be bold. Do not be afraid. Okay. So we stay small. Our life stays small. Go out and be bold this year. What is it that you want to do? Go out and do it now.
Oh my gosh.
So bad.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm Deb Creer. I've been having so much fun getting to know Cindee Williams, the founder of Lead My Life. And until next time, everyone have a great day.
Tune in for our next program for even more trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. The Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Creer, is proud to be part of the C-Suite Network.